So overall with the game, since we're already here,
Yeah, we can talk about that game.
so right now as it stands, the 49ers are plus 1.5. The Chiefs favorited by 1.5 points. The over-under opened at 51.5, and it's flown up to 54.5 points right now. It's getting huge money. All the money is hammering the over. It's hard not to. You
Do you
saw.
want to talk about the over-under first or the spread?
Well, let's talk about the spread because I don't think there's too much to go with this. Obviously, it's close. It opened at a pick'em, so that's important to note.
Yeah, but
It quickly shift.
did it open as a pick'em?
It will. I got the Chiefs at a pick'em and a future bet before the AFC games, before the championship games were played, and the future bet at the time. Maybe I got lucky. I got it at pick'em, but
What
even
I
then
was
it was
seeing,
half a point.
I saw Chiefs, like looking ahead, I saw Chiefs minus 2.5.
Really?
Like looking ahead, like before the championship games, that's what it was.
I got that's interesting.
So I think definitely the San Francisco game, if what I'm saying is true, then the San Francisco game, them blowing out Green Bay, influenced
It definitely brought the line back.
A little bit, just 1 point, but it's not a significant number, 2.5 to 1.5. Like usually you're gonna land on 3, 4, but you never know. Real quick, Chiefs are 5-0 against the spread in their last 5 games, and people are gonna say that that's when you should fade them, sell high on them.
Mm-hmm.
But what they don't realize is that in the last 7 games, after a straight up win for the Chiefs, they're 6-0-1 against the spread. So not really the team that you want to sell high on.
Mm-hmm. It's hard to sell high. It's hard to bet against the Chiefs. And as badly as I want the 49ers to win, just because the way they're playing football, hard-nosed, the defense is crazy, they're extremely physical, they're fast, they run the ball hard. I love that personally as a former offensive lineman. I love running the ball. I love what Derrick Henry was doing. And you take a look at the Chiefs. Similar to what we saw last week, nothing on the same scale of Titans-Chiefs. That's why I say just the Titans like to run the ball and the 49ers like to run the ball. Different schemes, no relation other than they like to run the ball. They have big physical offensive lines. So it would be interesting to see the 49ers win. I just don't see how they can keep up with that offense. You have Tyreek Hill, Mecole Hardman, Sammy Watkins. Those guys are literally, as Robert Saleh said, Olympic athletes.
Yeah.
They're just barn burners. Yep. When you compare that, when you add that in with a coordinator in mind like Andy Reid and a talent like Patrick Mahomes, maybe the 49ers are the only shot we have is to stopping this team.
Maybe. And I think this is the start of a dynasty. I've told you this before. I think the Chiefs are the best shot at winning 4 of the next 10 Super Bowls. But the only concerns I have basically is the overreaction from last week, in which, the Titans defense is good, but they have nobody to get after the quarterback. They were one of the worst pass rushing teams in the league this season. I think they were 27th in pressuring the quarterback. So unlike those Tennessee Titans, the San Francisco 49ers have one of the most ferocious D-lines in the NFL, probably the best. Mm-hmm. They're able to get pressure with 4. They've been doing it all year. They won pass rush assignments on 56% of the time, second to only Pittsburgh. And they had 306 quarterback pressures this year, 7th most. And on the contrary, though, the Chiefs have been protecting Patrick Mahomes amazing. They've kept him so clean recently. Maybe they've been motivated after he got hurt, wanting to protect the quarterback as much as they could, like life or death.
Literally, when you have that guy, you have no choice but to sell your life for him. Like we've been talking about this game for a while and the potential matchup, and we would often say to each other, if the 49ers can't beat them, if this team can't beat them, then who the hell can?
Yeah.
Who can stop this team? the 49ers defense is loaded at every position. They have a great coordinator in Robert Saleh. One of the best, if not one of the best NFL head coaches in Kyle Shanahan. It's taken the NFL a long time to come to the realization that, hey, Kyle Shanahan is the best coach. You would get mocked repeatedly for saying you would take Kyle Shanahan over Sean McVay.
Yep.
And it's a short sample size this year, whatever happened. But Kyle Shanahan, I mean, when he was in Atlanta, he was it's Matt Ryan, it's Julio Jones. When he was Washington, it's his dad. It's not him. He doesn't know what he's doing.
Mm-hmm.
So,
what are your concerns for Niners defense besides the fact that they're playing a juggernaut?
With the Niners defense, I mean, in terms of concerns, it's just how can you stop? I don't like Richard Sherman against any of those speedy guys. I think if they can give up a big play, it will be there with either Sammy Watkins, Tyreek Hill. There's just so much speed that it's just going to open up so much. And what I have seen lately from the Kansas City Chiefs is they're not committed to running the ball, but they've been giving Damian Williams a lot of the snaps. I think they've been giving him 90. His snap rate in the playoffs have been 90.9%. He's gotten 29 of the backfield's 30 carries, so it's not a lot, but that's where they're going to have to be successful in stopping the 49ers defense, is slowing down that pass rush a little bit with Damian Williams.
Yeah.
But personally, I like that 49ers defense. I think they match up well to an extent with their front four in terms of being able to set the edge, limit Patrick Mahomes. If Patrick Mahomes can start running around and get away from Dee Ford and Nick Bosa, that's a concern of mine. Because if you cannot keep Patrick Mahomes in the pocket, and if he starts running around extending plays, you're screwed. He can throw off. He can take 3 steps backwards, throw off his back foot, and still throw it 40 yards on a dime.
I do have a weak spot here for the Niners defense that the Chiefs could easily exploit, and that's Ahkello Witherspoon.
Okay.
And he's been pretty bad this year, in the red zone especially. I see that he has 7 targets, allowing 5 receptions, 3 touchdowns, 2 first downs, and no forced incompletions in the red zone this year. And he's allowed a passer rating of 132 in that scenario. So if there's any weak spot there that Andy Reid's going to exploit, it's going to be Ahkello Witherspoon.
Okay.
And I just think that that's a good point with Richard Sherman. With the speed mismatch we have. And
it's going to be tough for him. Maybe he wants to prove all of his haters wrong. He wants to prove he's not just a zone corner. But I think you're going to have to be in zone for this one, my guy. I don't know how you're going to match up with those guys. And that's how you got to play. In order to slow down the Chiefs a little, you got to play man coverage.
We should definitely talk about the Chiefs' run defense.
Yeah.
For sure.
So,
or their defense in general.
With the Kansas City Chiefs, their depth of target, or their depth in allowing the running back to get before he's tackled, I think it's dead last, you said?
Yeah, dead last.
So that's obviously a huge concern against the 49ers, who just absolutely open up with their zone scheme. And if they're allowing guys to get to the second level, and with a guy like Raheem Mostert, Matt Breida, they have a ton of speed. Mm-hmm. You have to get these guys down early. So, again, this is another area where I think the Chiefs need to stop the run. Like they did against the Titans, they really committed to it and they stopped it. But this is different because Derrick Henry is a power back. Mm-hmm. He's a big guy who he needs a second to get going. Yeah. Raheem Mostert, Matt Breida, even Tevin Coleman, but he's been hurt.
All that pre-snap motion is going to play huge for the Niners. And you got to worry about the receivers in the run game too.
They're phenomenal run blockers. They're amazing in space. So the Chiefs secondary guys like Tyrann Mathieu are gonna have to step up. They're not going to be able to. Even the slot corners. What's his name? Rashawn Breeland. He's going to have to get off of blocks from Emmanuel Sanders, Deebo Samuel.
Fenton's playing in the slot now.
Okay.
Ever since the Thornhill injury.
Yeah. They're going to have to play physical. They're going to have to get off blocks, off the receivers, the tight ends. And the Chiefs are going to have to be able to, if George Kittle is matched up one-on-one with an edge defender, Frank Clark, if someone's there, or Terrell Suggs, I guess.
I know we say this a lot, like about tight ends blocking edge rushers, and I think George Kittle is like the one exception to that rule that he can literally block anybody, and that's going to be tough. But what I was saying about the receivers is like them actually carrying the ball when they're in motion. So
okay.
Deebo Samuel this year has 14 carries for 160 yards.
They do a lot of those because that helped out my fantasy team quite a bit on those little sweep runs where you get especially in the red zone when that pre-snap motion. We like the Lefko show a lot. Mm-hmm. We like to listen to our guy Warren Sharp. We're familiar with you a little bit. We know you're from the DC Nova area. Warren, we'd love to reach you, get in contact with you. But what Warren Sharp was talking about was how with the 49ers and holy shit, hang on. I wrote it down. Hang on, take it real quick.
Yeah.
Where'd I
I'll continue while he finds his little statistic or whatever. Mm-hmm. But Chiefs defense, run defense, last 10 games are allowing 93.6 yards per game, which is good for 14th in the league. A very, very huge difference from their first 2 months of the season where they couldn't stop a nosebleed. And what I like about their matchup with the 49ers rushing attack, and there's not much to like, but they did play a very similar rushing attack last week in the Titans with the outside zone runs.
I don't know. I seem to
so
have lost them.
maybe they'll be prepared for that. Hopefully.
Basically,
I don't know.
I'm hoping. Like, I love Patrick Mahomes, and I would love to see more than anything to see Andy Reid win a Super Bowl. Not only with everything he's kind of gone through as a coach with, the Eagles, but and if you guys aren't familiar with his sons, everything he's kind of gone through with his sons and their drug problems, and Andy Reid has gone through a lot as a coach. I would love to see him win, but I really want to see the 49ers win this game. I know you don't. I know you want to see the new.
No, look, I'm a big Kyle Shanahan guy because he's been slept on his entire career, especially during his head coaching career when he had C.J. Beathard and Nick Mullins as his quarterback. And so I really wouldn't mind seeing the Niners win, but I just love Patrick Mahomes and I love Andy Reid. But at the same time, this is going to be a great game. It's such a hard game to choose when it comes to the spread. That being said, the tiebreaker for me is Andy Reid's proven track record. With extra rest, we talk about this all the time. With an extra week to prepare, Andy Reid he's
phenomenal.
He's been proving it time and time again. 16-9 against the spread, coming off a extra week. So that applies in this scenario, obviously. And he's 19-6 straight up. So 19-6 straight up. I guess against the spread is much more impressive. 16-9.
Yeah.
So gun to my head once again. I'm taking the Chiefs. I don't have too much conviction behind that though. Mm-hmm. I could definitely see this being played out either way. And
I think the market reflects that. I don't think anybody is truly set in stone. There's been a couple big guys who've put $100,000, $200,000 bets. There's only been a couple. I don't think anybody truly has any conviction to go with one side because you can make a case for each team to win. The 49ers are the much more complete, loaded team. But then you take a look at Tyreek Hill, Travis Kelce, Patrick Mahomes, and a much improved Kansas City Chiefs defense. So, gun to my head, very, very hard to go against the Kansas City Chiefs. I would lean that way as well. But particularly what I want to look at is the over-under because there has been a
lot of movement.
A lot of action. And most of the money, particularly... let me see.
Well, I got it. 84% of the bets have been placed on the over with 89% of the money. Wow. So everyone's smashing the over. We've talked about it. We said it moved from 51.5 to 54.5. What do you do about this? What's your play here? We got to talk about some of the significant numbers that are in between that has passed. And
Yeah.
maybe it goes back down. Maybe it goes up to 55.
So, for me personally, you have important key numbers in over-under betting at 50, 51, 52, and then there's no significant number again until 55. These numbers are significant because of this possible score combinations and the amount of times that they have occurred throughout history. There's such a large sample size of these scores. So 55, that's 28. What were you saying? It was
55 is 31-24.
very common score, and that also goes to show the importance. Not that it's important right here, but like that 7-point favorite, 31-24, 28-21. Those are just key numbers in betting that are trends that constantly get hit on.
And then at 51, you have 27-24.
27-24, another very common score.
28-24, 52, another significant number. So it's really hard to bet in between these numbers.
It's hard for us to come on here and tell you to bet the under when only 16% of tickets have been on the under, and that's including sharp money. So it opened at 51 and a half, and it's just instantly skyrocketed to 55 or 54 and a half. If you want to bet the under, I think if you can get on Action Networks or a professional system which triggers you an alert to when it gets to 55, I think if this line hits 55, you need to jump on it and hit the under immediately, because the sharps, the professional sharp bettors will be all over that number at 55.
It's go so fast.
And it's going to go back down right away. I think if you wanted to hit the over,
you could buy half a point right now. I wouldn't mind buying half a point in the under. It's just
nothing wrong with buying half a point to get back under there.
It would be tough to see the Chiefs not scoring 30.
It's tough not to see the Chiefs scoring 30.
It's tough to they've been averaging 43.
It's hard, and then you look at the 49ers, and with 2 minutes left in the second quarter, they're already up 27. They already have 27 points. So then when you look at the Super Bowl, this is a game where traditionally it's obviously high pressure. Teams might play a little more conservative. There's a ton on the line. It's the biggest game of the year, obviously. So you're not going to be looking at teams that are looking to bust it open per se right away. So the under tends to be more profitable because the public loves the over. Nobody wants to root for a boring game.
Especially on a holiday like the Super Bowl.
Everyone wants
the most casual bettors going after the over.
So you need to take advantage of the public money being just absolutely smashing the over at 51, 52. They don't care.
I would rather fade that.
I would fade the over on that, as tempting as it is, because, again, what evidence has shown us to lean the other way, other than you have two of the best head coaches going at it, and it's going to be tight. It's going to be a tight game. I could see a score of 24-21, 17-21, and I know it's hard not to imagine the Chiefs putting up that many points, but they have not faced the D-line with this kind of pressure. They have not faced a secondary that allows their defense to rush forward and have 7 guys back.
You also do have some wind in this game.
The wind, let's go ahead. I didn't touch the
12 miles per hour, I think.
You're looking at 12-mile-an-hour winds. It's in Miami. So it's going to be a high of 72, only about a 20% chance of precipitation, of rain or anything. So it's going to be partly cloudy, a little humid. 12-mile-an-hour winds. It's not insignificant. It's not 7 or 8. I'm not sure if there's any gust winds that will come in and maybe for a second or two affect a field goal or a pass.
The point is the game's not in a dome.
It's not in a dome. There could be a potential for elements. It's at 12, and that's just that's an early look, so maybe it will change by then. Mm-hmm. So, again, it's very important to follow the weather, see if there's rain, see if the wind's changing, especially in a city like Miami where the weather changes very frequently. Humidity could rise up. So, with this game, I would tell you if you want to get the under, Wait a little, see if it gets to 55. There's no money being put on the under right now, at least right now on the day where we're recording. So you can wait on the under. With the over, I think it's already gone up so much. It's not worth to get it at 55. It's just not, there's no value to get it there.
Even if you hit it, even if you end up winning it, it's not a bet that. It's not a good bet.
So
at this very moment in time,
I just don't see. I mean, the AFC Championship game went so far over the total. It's like 54 and a half. Of course, it could go over. But given the profile of both defenses, the intensity of the game, the magnitude, the pressure being put on.
And then maybe the 49ers control the clock. They love to run the ball a lot. And we saw the Chiefs run it in some key downs last week. Which is kind of uncharacteristic.
Also, I want to touch on real quick on when we're talking about when to bet these. Like with the spread right now, there hasn't been much movement, but if you do like a side with the spread, I would say if you like the Chiefs, take them now because they're still sitting at a 1 -1, -1.5. It's not an insignificant number. I could see later into the week, building up to it, the Chiefs getting some more late money. People saying, you know what, I just don't see Jimmy Garoppolo doing this. Can he really win? Listening to the national media too much, even though it's not up to him only. So I would wait. If you want to bet the Chiefs, bet them now at 1.5, -2, even 2.5. Do not wait for it to get to 3. The 49ers, I only see them probably losing money on public bets because they're not as exciting, they're not as fun, they're not whatever. So if you like the under, you can bet it now, but see if it gets to that 55. That's a significant number.
By half a point.
By half a point, get it to 55. I do like the under.
I would like to get over all those key numbers, 55, 52, 51.
And 51. So get over those numbers. Get the under on those. It's not a regular season game. It's not versus the Titans who are rushing 3 and aren't making any adjustments and just they lack the personnel. The 49ers don't lack the personnel. This could be a slow, drawn-out game where Raheem Mostert is getting 4 yards, 5 yards. Plug in Matt Breida. He's getting one. There's Deebo Samuel on a wraparound sweep. Holy shit, how did he just get 25 yards? So, I'm talking to myself and the 49ers a little bit, but
yeah.
I'm going to stick